Hi, Rich.
Hi Andy, how you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. You?
Good to see you again.
Yeah,
Thanks for your time.
no
Uh,
problem.
the first thing, so this is going to be a video on Rugby Analyst YouTube channel, and we followed the under 20s really closely. Everyone got really into it. It was like super exciting, of course. Obviously the end wasn't
Yep.
what you wanted, but it was an exciting journey. And I've said to some people I'm interviewing Andy Titterrell for the under 19s, and the immediate response is, I didn't know England had under 19s. So for those not in the know, can you explain the rationale behind the whole concept of England under 19s?
Yeah. Well, this program started back a couple of years ago, and I guess, long story short, it's to try and bridge the gap between the 18s and 20s. Give Tofty and myself the opportunity to look at those players in a different environment, challenge them in a different way that the 18s would, maybe not so intensely as what we would do in the 20s. And obviously also see whether or not there's players that can put their hands up to represent the 20s in the Junior World Championships. We had that a couple of years ago, and I just used Nathan Michello as a prime example. We didn't play any of the Six Nations, came in for the 19s game, and we were like, look, there's something special about this kid. He still had the following year as involved in the 20s. So we ended up taking him out to the World Cup with us in South Africa. So that's why the platform's there, for us to have an opportunity to look at players and to test them in different environment.
Okay, so is it very much, well, or mainly a World Cup under 20s trial players you've
Mm,
missed? It's not the
so,
best word, maybe.
yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's a trial. Look, I think for when we put the EPS squad together, and then when we pick the training squads for the 20s, there'll be a selective group of, I guess, guys that will play games, guys that we want in the environment, that we know full well could play, but we may go, right, well, because it's the pathway, what we want to be able to do with you is have you in and around the environment within the 20s. If the opportunity arose to play for whatever reason, you'll obviously step in and play. But ultimately, as part of their development, and we make it very clear to them from the word go, that we want them in the environment. And then the next year would be their year to actually put their hand up and have that opportunity to really go forward and showcase what they can do. Obviously, those players are obviously still playing at their loan clubs. A lot of them still get some honours at their clubs with the Prem Cup. And then, as you say, I think obviously with the way the seasons go anyway, with the number of games, with injuries that happen, boys can be pulled in at any time. So where we want to try and think of, like, give guys opportunities within our training camps. And then, as you say, when those opportunities arise, we can leave the door ajar, and they've got to be able to kick it down and take it. And some guys have done that, before. Again, I know I used Nathan, but you've got Angus Hall from last year did exactly that in the 19s. Jack Bracken did that as well, and so that's what the 19s is. So those lads that have been involved with us through the 20s, there may be a 2-year 20. They'll have this 19s as an opportunity to, put into practice everything that they've learned and experienced in the pathway during those under 20s Six Nation camps, and then obviously use these 3 games to go out and showcase what they can actually deliver. Can they lead on certain parts? We might use it for players to develop their line out calling, their open field play, the way that they communicate from a halfback's perspective, basically allow them to have the reins and be the player that they want to try and be moving through the pathway.
Well, that's a really, really comprehensive answer. Thank you very much, because it is quite confusing, and maybe it shows how much work you guys have to do on a management kind of end, trying to juggle all these players, get them game time. it must be tricky. I mean, how much of a challenge is that for you when there's players you're desperately wanting to play, but there aren't opportunities, and it's got to be tricky.
Yeah, it is. I think half of coaching's probably management of external things that you may or may not have control over, and then the others actually out on the field, which is the enjoyable bit. No, but it's we obviously work closely with the 18s with Parky and JP, and we kind of like probably see ourselves as a coaching group of 4, but then split into 2 groups of 2 where we obviously have our representative teams that we look after. And I think what we try and discuss and talk about is the player, what's best for that person. And you'll probably see with, I guess 2 examples would be in Elliot Williams and George Marsh. They've just come off the back of their under-18 tournament out in Vinci. And then we thought, right, well, it's a great opportunity for those 2 players to come back into the 19s and to really challenge and push them. And I say, look, it could be any player, but we thought, you know, how well that those two lads in particular did. What I wanted to see from a forwards perspective moving into next season. And also, as I said to before, just about challenging them in a different environment where they might have to think a little bit quicker. In certain instances, things that we may ask them to do differently. So, you know, I like to think that we've put a program together through the pathway, which is player centered, and obviously the 18 coaches, they'll work hard with the schools, and obviously the clubs, Top Tier myself, will work extremely hard to make sure that their playing programs are what they are going to be. So as you said, it's about trying to juggle some of their minutes, making sure that they're valid minutes as well, that they're playing at the correct level. And that's just the partnership that we've tried to, I guess, rebuild with the clubs over the last 4 years.
Brilliant, yeah. And just say, on behalf of myself and the viewers of the channel, it's nice to see, you know, this planned development, and so much goes into it that we don't always know. So that's great having that insight. From the under-19s, I don't think the game was streamed, the France one, so I think that kind of went under the radar a bit.
Yeah.
So that didn't go your way. Then you had a big scoring. Well, you won. It was a big score against Japan. How much are the result? I mean, in under-20s, you're trying to, you know, win the Six Nations, etc. Is there a slightly different aim in the 19s where it's more player development and the results aren't as important?
I think, look, this is, I think some people can get a little bit touchy over this sort of subject around winning and development. Like, personally, I want to win every game, and I do think that if you're involved in professional sport in some capacity, you have to have that element there. These lads have to learn how to lose. They also have to learn how to win, and the responsibility that comes with either one of those moving forward to the next game. I think in the bigger picture, in terms of what over the last couple of games that we've played, personally, I took more out of the thumping that we got from France than we did over the win against Japan, for different reasons. Defensively, apart from, you know, I say some missed tackles, there was a lot of positives that we tried to push post Japan. From an attack perspective, I think it highlighted where we were a lot more deficient against France as it was against Japan. So it's forever changing landscape against the teams that you can play. And I guess ultimately as well, we want the players to make decisions on the field and I guess be accountable for them, not just to us, but mainly their peers when they're playing. So we try and equip and give as much clarity to the players during the week in training, I guess using different methods, walkthroughs, interactive meetings, I guess different tempo in terms of what we're trying to achieve in training, scenario based. And then in the game, ultimately it's down to the players. There's things that we might pick up on and just send messages on, but ultimately we don't coach the game from up in the stands. We'll feed back to the players as and when. They've got a lot to think about during the game, and ultimately we want those lads to enjoy going out and playing what they see in front of them, and being able to, I guess, make mistakes, feel that they can, but then obviously try and correct them and find solutions for them if they're struggling to do that themselves. And that's what we're there for as coaches, especially in this group with the 19s, so that when they come and experience the 20s, they would have had those, I guess, development games. And as I say, with that comes elements of winning, elements of losing, but they've had those feelings so that when they come back to it again, they'll know, right, well, if we're under pressure in in our 22, and what do we need to do? What have we learned from that game against France? And it's just about being able to recall certain information, things that we've gone through the week, which has been tried to be as simplistic as possible, so that we don't give the lads lots of things to think about. It's probably 2 or 3 focus points, and that's it. That ends up being the theme for the week. And then we want them to go out and try and deliver that, and ultimately get the lads to be able to feed back during half time about what it is that they want to go after, how we can improve on certain things, and then and then hopefully the result will take care of itself, because the preparation's been there for the players.
I mean, just kind of final point here. So that loss to France, say, in hindsight, maybe actually could be more useful than another game that maybe you won comfortably. Maybe could that be the case?
Absolutely. I think what came out of it was we were too tight in our 22 defensively. We were too tight. We were probably a little bit inconsistent in our 22 about getting off the line. Some players did, some players didn't. But again, there was that exposure where some players had been used to that within the 20s environment. Some players who hadn't been in the 20s environment, weren't. So that's what created I guess the pathways and the dog legs. And then from an attacking perspective, we just weren't clinical enough in their 22. So we had plenty of possession, we had plenty of territory, we just didn't convert. So we obviously need to look at, right, how can we be more clinical in those aspects? What do we need to tidy up? What was it that the players didn't feel they had clarity on? And then we're relying on those players being productive in their feedback to us as well, and that's how we can then scope the training session and the plans, the meetings, etc., to make sure that we deliver the right type of information to them. And then ultimately it's up to those players to go and learn that information, and to recall that knowledge at any point. We're also obviously aware that there's different learning styles within the playing group, so they have to be responsible for doing that. And we talk around that on one-on-ones and small groups, how that may look, try and put the onus back onto the player so that they're held accountable for some of their actions. And we mix up the way that we do our meetings purely for that fact of we might do walkthroughs, we might do things up on the board, get players up to present, so that it's not always the coach that's delivering it, because again, it's the players' team. We want the players and the leaders to drive it. Particularly, we want them to buy into it, and if they're bought into it, they're more than likely going to go out and deliver, because it's something that they've invested in, and that they see a future with.
Brilliant. Yeah. So I guess the irony is, in that loss to France, you've got all this amazing footage and all these learnings, and hopefully they'll come out stronger as a result. Look, I'm not going to keep you any longer, Andy. It was a brilliant insight into how the under-19s works and all this hard work that goes in behind it. It's not just playing games for the sake of it. It's great for myself and the viewers to understand how this works. It's always good to have this sort of transparency, etc. So yeah, thank you very much. Good luck against Scotland.
Thank you very much. Thanks ever so much. I appreciate your time as well interviewing. Brilliant. Thank you.
No, it's great. It's great because, we love obviously watching the seniors and all that excitement, but when you know how it's getting there and who's coming through and the work that's going in, it makes it all the more worthwhile, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Lovely. Brilliant. Have a good
Brilliant. No,
day.
appreciate it, Andy. Good luck.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Connor. How are you
Hello.
doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent. Really good. Just been chatting to Andy about the under-19s and how it all works.
Yeah.
Connor Treacey, you are the captain. Well, you're the captain of the under-18s. You're now the captain of the under-19s.
Yeah.
Some people watching will know you, some won't. But can you just tell us just a little bit about your background, how you've come through in rugby, how you've got to where you are?
Yeah, so I started playing rugby pretty early on, probably 6 or 7 years old at New Milton Rugby Club, down the south coast.
Yeah, I live near there.
Yeah, it's like in between Bournemouth and Southampton.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was there for about, a fair few years, 15, 16. Then I started to do a trial at Bath Rugby, for the DPP things. I got through there, did pretty well. Played all the way to under 18s there. Went to Beach and Cliff alongside. So I started off at Priestland School, and then moved to Beach and for sixth form, Beach and Cliff. Really good. They looked after me there, sort of pushed me on a lot. Nathan Catt was a coach there. He's now involved with like the 20s and
So
the
that's the ex-Bath prop, yeah?
Yeah, ex-Bath prop, yeah.
Yep.
He's lost a bit of weight since then, but no, he's
Got in
really
shape, got in shape.
Yeah, he's a good coach for me. Took me under his wing early doors, and then now I'm here under 18s and under 19s with the national side as well.
Cool. Bath, are you Bath Uni at the moment?
Yeah, oh yeah, Bath Uni as well. Yeah, we
Yeah,
did pretty
lovely.
well this season, but didn't quite make the semi-finals. But
Yeah, no, simple. I was a Bath Uni and Bath under 19s, they were called, but I was just lacking talent, which is apparently important.
yeah,
Hey, there you
No,
go.
no.
So you've been made captain again, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Now Andy's not here to speak for you. Why do you think you keep getting made captain then, Connor? What's going on here?
Don't know.
Must be something.
Yeah, must be something. I don't know. I think for me, I just try and lead from the front. One of the things I sort of stick by is like I wouldn't ask someone to do something I wouldn't do myself. Like, but I've got to be the one sort of setting the tone and then try and bring the others with me. But yeah, I don't know. It must be something. I don't know if it's natural or if it's what. I mean, I've done a lot of like work with a psychologist at Bath,
Okay.
around sort of leadership stuff and how sometimes like less is more. You don't have to. The biggest talkers aren't always captain, and the best players aren't always captain. So it's just getting the balance between doing a lot of talking and a lot of just like, I guess, playing your own game and then just seeing what comes from that. Really.
It's got to be, I guess, a bit tricky because you captain Bath. Do you captain the uni as well?
Yeah, co-captain. Yeah.
Okay, so and those players really well, I guess. You're living with them, etc. But then when you come to camps like this, when you don't know players, do you change your leadership style?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so really, because I guess what I've done in the past has got me to be captain of this under 19s team. So I wouldn't really change too much. But I guess sort of how you said, like, we don't really know the players as much and it's quite a short space of time. I think what we do here is like it's quite intense. We're together all the time, so you just try and do what you can to get to know each other and see maybe what works for some people might not work for someone else. Like for me as captain, some people might need a bit of a rocket and some people might need a arm around the shoulder. It's just kind of getting the balance of them.
Yeah, tricky to learn that quicker as well.
Yeah.
Just learning a bit about yourself. Some would have watched you play, some won't. How would you describe your USP? What do you again? It's tricky talking about yourself, I understand, but what do the coaches say you bring to the team, particularly as a back row?
Back row. I guess. I mean, what I'm working on at the minute, which is kind of a strength, is like my contact dominance, both sides of the ball. It's kind of like getting the front foot ball and then sort of gaining and stopping momentum, which is pretty key in rugby. And then what I'm working on as well is my like post tackle work, which I think is kind of a strength for me. Like once I've made the tackle, just popping up, trying to slow the ball down, and then let the others go and make a big hit. So yeah, kind of that unseen work as well.
What's your preferred position in the back row? Coach isn't here. It's okay.
Yeah. I do like number 8, just getting hands on ball and
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And in the setup under 20s, etc., where do you think you might be fitting in roughly position wise?
Uh
Obviously, wherever they tell you, but
yeah, wherever they tell me, and yeah, but I mean, in the 6 nations, I was covering 7 and 8, so I guess just for me being versatile to try and slot in where I can.
Okay, great. And you know some of these players well. I know some, maybe some not so much.
Yeah.
Having trained and played with them a bit the last couple of weeks, has anyone caught your eye? I mean, not saying anyone's better than anyone else, but anyone like you didn't know about, like, oh, they're worth watching out for, because obviously a lot of my viewers won't know these players.
Yeah. I mean, we got like Will Knight. He's recently come in from the under 18s, and I've watched him play in the 6 nations just gone, and then train with him now. He's a pretty handy player. Got Ollie Davies as well at 10.
Yeah, fly half, yeah.
Yeah, fly off. Yeah, he's pretty staple for us. You know, he's kind of getting us on the front foot, and he's kind of like, you don't really appreciate him until you play with him. Like the comms he gives you, the sort of chats in the huddles, and sort of you know, when play breaks down, he'll be the one to set us off what we're doing next. Forwards wise, quite a few young lads. Elliot Williams, big lump.
Tell us about him. I don't know about him.
He's at Harlequins. He's in year below me. Yeah, pretty big lad, big ball carrier. Yeah, he's just someone you'd want in a team, and kind of a bit of a big lad to just kind of get us some gain line, really.
Cool. Okay, and then obviously had a pretty tough game against France.
Yeah.
And then what have the coaches told you? You know, what are your goals going into this Scotland game? What are you trying to put right, if you like?
I think for us, like, we just sort of said starting where we left off. So obviously the team comes in on the weekend, and then we find out if you're in the camp sort of Monday. So it's just kind of not starting from zero every week. So whether that's line out, set piece, for us in the France game, we struggled a little bit in that. So we fixed it up, had 2 good sessions of that, and then really gets us front foot ball and gives us a platform to work off. But in terms of like what we're trying to get after this week, it's just focusing on ourselves, really. It sounds pretty simple, but we're putting a big focus on like our goal line D. So like we're calling it our castle defense. So it's like not letting them score, and it's kind of like what we're willing to do for each other. In terms of defense, it's more like a mindset thing rather than like anything technical. So just getting each other on the same page, and then see what happens on Saturday.
Yeah, I think Andy was saying that's exactly one of the things that came from the France game, wasn't it? The connection in defence.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, last question. I'm not going to keep you too long. Thanks for giving us your time. Going forward, we've got the Junior World Cup, the Under 20s World Cup. How much is there an awareness in the squad that people are playing for places, to Italy?
I'd probably say, I think the way that you play yourself in is by playing well in these games. It's not really, we're an under 19s team. We're trying to do well for each other, and I think the coaches will realise that rather than us being selfish. It's more like if the team does well, then you'll do well by doing your role. It's not really like being selfish in terms of like getting yourself on the ball to get noticed. You'll get noticed from doing simple things right, or doing like the unseen stuff right. So it's more, as much as people are fighting for places, you're bettering each other as well. It's not like there's no like, I guess, like positional hate or anything. It's more like just getting each other better, and and then whatever happens in selection happens. It's sort of got to crack on and just get better, really.
Yeah. So you've had a taste of it in the 6 nations. You had a couple of appearances, was it?
Yeah, the last 3 games I played after my injury.
Last 3, yeah. So there's that there as well. So there's quite a lot to think about. New group of players.
Yeah.
So we wish you all the best. Really, it's exciting times for you.
Yeah, exciting. Thank you very much.